thank you very much for coming. This is our second workshop that we've run, so we really appreciate you guys coming. As it says there, we're here to find your food freedom, and another thing that we want to do is make sure that you guys can master your food so that you have the fuel for your training, which is going to be a big thing that I want to talk about in today's workshop. So just a bit of an introduction if you don't know much about 1RM and what we do. Essentially, we're a coaching company who work with you to ensure that you reach your maximum and educate you to stand on your own in your fitness journey. Essentially, we have 4 coaches, including myself, Rhys. We have Mr. Lachlan Baker over there. We have Shai Jade Barsel, who is running in at some point in another 10-15 minutes time. And then we have Jesse Lazaro out at World Gym Penrith as well. So what do? We are face-to-face coaches. We're also online coaches as well. We help people to increase their training performance. We work with all types of athletes, as it says there, physique athletes, strength athletes, hybrid athletes, and we help you to improve your lifestyle habits and help you to take control of your nutrition, which is, I guess, our point of difference in the market, is that we can obviously help you guys with the training side, with the mindset side, with the lifestyle, and also nutrition as well. All of us are qualified nutritionists. So guys, the goal for today is we want to make sure that you guys can hit all of these points, or you guys can walk out of here feeling confident with all the points that are up on the board there. So you're going to learn what calories are. You're going to learn what macros are. You're going to learn all the foods you can eat, not what you can't eat, all the foods you can eat. How to write your own meal plan, how to fuel your training, how to get creative with your cooking, and easy ways that you can spill over your calories, which is probably a big thing, especially if anyone's ever been in the point of why am I losing weight? Why do I still look the same? There's potentially some calories that we're consuming that you might not even know about that are pushing us over our maintenance. So first of all, a bit of education around what a calorie is. A calorie is a unit of measurement that we use to determine how much energy a food contains, okay? So pretty much they get food, they burn it in a lab, and then they'll actually measure the energy it takes to burn that food. So every food has a caloric value and its own unique balance of macronutrients. In Australia, unfortunately, I don't know why, I'm sure there's a reason why, but we use kilojoules. So if you look on the back of a packet, it's always kj. The rest of the world is in calories, so that's a little bit annoying, but you just got to convert it there. But again, kilojoules is just another form of unit of measurement for energy density of food. And not to confuse anyone too much, but if anyone's ever heard the term kcal or ever seen kcal, it's like, what's that? Essentially, what we deem as 100 calories is actually 100,000 calories. So you take a banana, let's call it 150 calories. It's actually 150,000 calories, but we just don't say 150,000, we just say 150 calories. So it's just a colloquial term. Don't get too confused about it, but essentially kcal is just a calorie. The next, what are macronutrients? So macronutrients are essential nutrients the human body requires in relatively large amounts for proper functioning, okay? So there are 4 macronutrients just for this point. Essentially, first one is our carbohydrates there. Now, carbohydrates are our main primary source of fuel, guys. This is the bad boy that we want to make sure we are optimizing as best as possible, because that's what's going to give us the fuel throughout our day and mainly for our training as well. So carbs are not the enemy, carbs are our best friend. We just need to utilize them in the best way possible. Then we have protein. I'm sure we've all heard of protein. Essentially, protein made up of amino acids helps you to obviously repair the muscle, repair skin tissue, bone, and obviously crucial for structure and function of tissues. Okay, so we all know that protein is very, very important in our diet. The next one is one, and as you'll notice there, guys, carbohydrates is 4 calories per gram. Protein is 4 calories per gram. Then when we move on to fats, I'll get to the calories in a bit there, but fats are essential. So this is one that people kind of, leave at the wayside, especially females. If anyone's ever coached with myself or a female, you're laughing there, Hannah. Looking at you, bro. No, but if anyone's ever coached with me, I know, and all of us really, we make a big effort to make sure that fats are at a decent level, because they're very, very important, and especially when you go into a dieting phase, it's very easy just to chop out all the fats, and that's when you start to feel horrible, you start to go up and down. They're essential for hormone support and also essential for uptake of nutrients and vitamins A, D, E, and K in there as well. So if anyone's ever, gone into a deficit and they feel their mood is swinging up and down all the time, they feel terrible. Particularly females, you guys just need a little bit more than men. It's probably because you've chopped your fats out, and you probably just need to make sure that they're consistent throughout the day. And you'll find that your mood will stabilize. You'll also be a little bit more satiated as well. And as we can see there, guys, fat is 9 calories per gram, okay? So keep that in mind. Carbohydrates, 4 calories per gram. Protein, 4 calories per gram. Fats are 9 calories per gram. So they're twice as much energy dense as protein and carbohydrates, which is something I'll get into later on. And then the fourth one, which really it kind of isn't, is fiber. Essentially, fiber promotes digestive health and can contribute to helping you stay full, feeling satiated. So if you've ever been in a deficit, you'll notice your coach will give you a lot of fiber, so a lot more vegetables and things like that. Essentially, it fills the stomach with water and helps you to have a sense and a feeling of satiety in there as well. So that's going to keep you feeling fuller for longer. Now, why the hell do you need to know that? What if I told you no food is truly off limits? Okay, as I mentioned, every food has a caloric value and its own unique balance of macronutrients. And once you've calculated your daily caloric needs and your macronutrients, you can pretty much, caveat there, pretty much eat whatever you like. Okay, so there's no good food or bad food. There's just foods that are more energy dense than others, and foods that will obviously digest a little bit better than others, but there's no such thing as good or bad. So we're going to throw those terms away. Just more energy dense and less energy dense. And instead, I want you guys to focus on balance, flexibility, making choices that align with your goals. Okay. So if you're in, potentially you're in a deficit, you want to make sure that you pick foods that are less energy dense, right? If you're in a growth phase, or if you're trying to eat a little bit more, trying to stack some muscle on, you might want to opt for the foods that are a little bit more calorie dense, so you don't have to eat as much. I know that may seem like a scary thing to some, but definitely, I've had to go through that a few times with my clients who get stuck on the diet foods, still eating Spud Light potato when they're on 3,000 calories, still trying to, having low fat this, low fat that. Where you can quite easily add some of those naughty foods in, or more energy dense foods in, and they'd be perfectly fine because they actually align with your goals, and it means you don't have to eat as much or have as much GI distress, which is essentially an upset tummy. So just a few examples of what some of these foods are. So lean proteins, we've obviously got all of our lean meat. So we've got beef, we've got chicken, turkey, kangaroo, fish, eggs, some low-fat Greek yogurt, Chobani style, and some cottage cheese. I'm sure we're all aware of that. Healthy fats, things that are like avocado, we've got nut butters, we've got nuts, we've got olive oils, we've got some fatty fish like salmon, sardines, really good omega-3s in there. Some full-fat cheeses, which are actually quite good, dark chocolate and coconut oil, just a few examples there. Complex carbohydrates. Now there's two sets of carbohydrates here. As you'll see, there is complex and then there is simple carbohydrate. Essentially complex just take a little bit more for you to digest, but think of them as the diesel fuel for you running throughout your day. Okay, so they're things like rice, potato, sweet potato, pumpkin, oats, bread, pasta, and grain-based cereals like your Wheat Bix as well, okay? So they're the diesel fuel that's gonna digest a little bit slower, but keep you going throughout your day. And then we have simple carbohydrates. Now these are your NOS, okay? If anyone's ever played Need for Speed, well, I certainly did, that's the NOS that you're kicking in right before your training session to give you that little bit of extra power. Doesn't hurt your digestion at all and will digest super quick to give you that energy. So things like fruits, bananas, berries, apples, you got honey, you got lollies, you got cereals like Fruit Loops, Nutri-Grain, you got maple syrup, you got fruit juices, even apple juice, orange juice, things of that nature, you got jams, and then even some sports drinks in there as well. So these are all things that we're going to use, which you'll find out later on, to help us get the best boost out of our training without feeling sick and yucky. So now that we've gone through all that, essentially, this is where we get into the fun part. This is how we start to build a meal plan. So these are the 4 steps that we follow as coaches to build you guys a meal plan, or how to build a meal, okay? So step 1, you're gonna pick your protein source. So we got a bit of a bro here. He's going for some chicken breast, okay? Step 2, you're gonna pick your carbohydrate source. So this is gonna be your complex carb. Might be some rice, might be some potato, might be, oats or anything like that. That's it. He's had some simple carbs. So step 2 is your carbohydrate source. Step 3, we need to get some greens in there. We need to get some fibre. We need to get some vegetables. Old mate here is very lazy and he just has some frozen vegetables. It's almost like I've taken it from my own meal plan. And then step 4, we're going to add in a little bit of fats here. So we're going to add in some avocado. So it seems pretty basic, pretty boring, hey? Like pretty bland. Now we click over. The main thing I want to point out from this today is that just because it looks bland on paper doesn't mean it has to be bland on your plate, and doesn't mean it has to be boring as well. So disregard the frozen vegetables and swap that out for a salad and you've got a burrito bowl right here. Still ticked all the goals, still ticked all the boxes, and it's helping you to obviously hit your macronutrient target without you hating your life and eating plain, boring chicken and rice, okay? So here's an example of what a day of life of eating could look like for yourselves, okay? Just how we can kind of put it together. So step number 1, we got breakfast. So old mate here, I refer to everyone as old mate. Old mate here is having a bacon, egg McMuffin. His protein source is going to be an egg, some bacon in there and some light tasty cheese. That's probably 30 grams of protein right there. So it's probably ticking the box. Okay, carbohydrate source, obviously just the English muffin there. A little bit of olive oil, so he's probably got ticking all the boxes there. Obviously doesn't have any greens, but that's okay. Then lunch, he's having a steak sanger. He's got steak, he's got obviously some caramelized onion in there, a little bit of tasty cheese in there, and then a little bit of sauce, lettuce and tomato. That's ticking all the boxes as well, so that's pretty damn good. Next, he's going to have his dinner. So he's got some chicken breast. He's got chicken stir fry. Again, going back to our chicken and rice or chicken and noodles in this point of term. He's got some chicken breast. He's got a little bit of hoisin and garlic marinade, which he's tracked and he's on top of. He's got some stir fry mix, so he's getting veggies in there, and then some complex carbohydrates, which is our noodles. And then for a snack, he's probably going to have pre-training. He's probably going to have a banana, which is his simple carbohydrates, giving that real rocket fuel before he trains without causing any GI distress or any problems in the stomach. And then post-training, he's probably going to have a whey protein shake. And then throughout the day, he's probably going to smash some almonds just to keep him going throughout the day. So this is a pretty good meal plan, ticking all the boxes here. Honestly, looking at this, you're probably looking at 150 grams of protein from a macronutrient perspective and, ticking all the boxes from energy as well. Now, guys, as I said at the start, there's no good or bad foods, and you guys can pretty much eat whatever you like as long as it fits your macros, okay? But there is a catch. We can eat things and we can change our food up that can optimize our training, and that's exactly what we're here for. I know all of us here train, and I know all of us here obviously want to get results, and the best way to get results is obviously watching what's on your foot, what's on your plate, but also performing out there in the gym, making sure that we're progressing and really getting some good sessions in rather than just ticking the boxes. So food is your fuel. What you eat is going to determine how you operate on a day-to-day basis, but most importantly, your training performance. Okay, I'm sure there's been people here who you've had a big feed, you've gone into training, and it's not happening. You're just like sluggish, tired, maybe burping, maybe feeling a little bit like I'm done. And then on the other hand, you might have not eaten, gone in, you're weak as anything, you don't get any pumps, you're dehydrated, you feel stringy, you're like, why am I even bothering? What am I doing here? Okay, so 2 things that can be a big contributor to your training performance, obviously our food and our hydration levels as well. But as I said there, that's why we need to make sure you have all the energy you need prior to your training, and you're eating the right things after to ensure adequate recovery, okay? So it's not just important for pre-training, but also important for post-training as well, to make sure that everything you've done out there gets optimized and you actually recover properly, so that you can actually potentially put on some lean tissue and look better in our bikinis or in our budgies, in my instance, and Lachlan's instance as well. All right, so a few things to consider or to be careful of when we're fueling for our training. So main thing I want to point out here, guys, that I didn't actually mention is that a lot of the energy that you get from your training, or what we call glycogen, which is the carbohydrate stores in your muscle, comes from the day before. Okay, so you might be able to eat a bit in the morning and then still have a good session, but a lot of it comes from the day before. Hence why, if anyone's been in a prep setting or anything like that, or if anyone's had a refeed, most of the time your coach will tell you to have it on an off-plan day, So you can actually uptake all the nutrients so that you're ready to rock on an off training day. So you can actually rest, recover, uptake all the nutrients so you're ready to go for your training week ahead. Okay, so a lot of the energy and fuel comes from the day prior. But on the day of, we want to make sure that we have 2 to 3 hours prior to training, we have a well-balanced meal, a good serving of protein, carbohydrates, and fats. Something like a chicken burrito bowl is absolutely perfect, about 2 to 3 hours prior to training. Then about half hour to maybe 1 hour out, we're going to have some simple carbohydrates, maybe a little bit of complex, but really easily digestible complex carbohydrates. So as we see there, we've got some jam and some rice cakes, which is absolutely perfect. A little bit of salt on there is going to give you a really good pump as well. During your workout, if calories allow for it, you may opt to have some simple carbohydrates to sip on, something like a sports drink, something like maltodextrin or a carbohydrate powder to sip on as you're training, so it tops up your energy levels without causing any GI distress or any problems in the tummy. And then straight away post-workout, we're having an easily digestible protein source. Protein shake is the way to go. And then half hour to 1.5 hours post-workout, we're having a well-balanced meal with a good serving of protein, carbohydrates, and fats. Something like good old-fashioned loaded potatoes in there. Okay? So how does this look? Now let's go through Old Mate. Old Mate's an afternoon trainer. So his day is going to start off at 6 a.m. He's a tradesman, and he's going to have his breakfast smoothie. He's got nice painted nails there as well. But he's going to have a breakfast smoothie. He's got some oats in there. Then around 10 a.m. he's probably going to have a snack. He's got smoko. So high protein yogurt with berries, honey, and some almonds, which is great. Obviously getting some fruit there in there, a little bit of dairy, and some healthy fats. At 1 p.m., which is probably roughly around 3 hours prior to his training time, he's going to have some chicken fried rice, as you can see there, looking great, with some frozen vegetables and a good protein source. 4 p.m. This is pre-workout meal. He's having rice cakes and jam. He's driving to the gym, probably just left site. Smash his rice cakes and jam, and he's ready. He's ready to rock and roll. 5 p.m. he's training. He's in the gym with all the boys, all the bros out there, fighting for machines at 5 p.m. on a Tuesday. 6:30. He's finished his session at 6:30 p.m. and he's smashing down a post-workout protein shake on his way home. Then he gets home. The missus, he loves the missus. She's made him some loaded potatoes ready for him to chill out for the night. So this is what a day in the life could look like if you're an afternoon trainer, okay? Obviously, a few foods could change, a few different, obviously, measurements that has to fit your macros, but this is the same format that I would follow for most people who are afternoon trainers, making sure we're getting good carbohydrates throughout the day, and then just before we're about to train, it's like, rock on, let's go. Rocket fuel with our rice cakes and jams, and we're ready to rock and roll.
Or LCM bars.
Or LCM bars. Hi Shai, welcome Coach Shai. Now if you're a morning trainer, who's a morning trainer? Oh, psychopaths. No, I'm kidding. If you're a morning trainer, and now this is for like, I guess a mid-morning training, not a first thing in the morning, which I'll go through as well. But morning trainer, you wake up 6 a.m., you smash down a banana, you're at the gym training by 6:30 to 7. Notice that we're smashing a Gatorade as we're training, okay? You haven't had much carbohydrates, obviously you're fasted from sleep. Yeah, you might have had some carbs at night, which I'll get to with our dinner here. But we still need a decent amount of carbohydrates to keep us training, as long as our calories allow for it. So you've got a Gatorade, then you finish around 8 a.m. You sit down, you're about to go for your hot girl walk, you have your breakfast shake, which has some oats in it. 11 a.m, we got a snack, which is an apple, and some dark chocolate there, so apple and dark chocolate to get the fats in there. 1 p.m. we have our chicken salad or chicken burrito bowl, as we put in there. Obviously got some sweet potato, I believe, and some chicken with some avocado. 4 p.m. we might have a snack, which is a protein shake. And then notice here at 7 p.m. we've got pan-fried salmon, and it's got some rice in there as well. So if you're a morning trainer, you really want to make sure that your dinner has a decent amount of calories, specifically carbohydrates, so that when you wake up, you've got glycogen stores stocked, you're ready to rock and roll. You might only need to top up with maybe a banana, maybe you just rock on in with just a Gatorade and you're ready to go. But those are the main things that people kind of get wrong with, I guess, training first thing in the morning, is they forget to have carbs with their dinner, so that then they're running in flat, they have a bit of a crappy session, and then they just feel tired. or they're solely relying on pre-workout to get them through their session, which I know you all do anyway. So guys, those are the two ways that you can obviously optimize your training from depending on what time in the day that you train. And obviously it can be a little bit fluent depending on if you train mid-mornings, that sort of thing. If you're training first thing in the morning, like dead set, wake up 5 a.m. at the gym, which I know a few of you guys do, then yeah, you can train fasted. It might just be worth sipping on, potentially some carbs or even some essential amino acids, which I won't get into right now. You're more than welcome to ask me questions about that, but don't want to confuse anyone. But as I mentioned there, there's a little bit of help from some supplements. Again, I could do a whole presentation on supplements, which I'm sure a lot of people have heard, but just a very slightly touch on some supplements that we recommend, just the bare basics, is first of all a whey protein. This is just going to help you to hit your protein target throughout the day, which I'm sure we're all on whey protein. If you do have a sensitive stomach, potentially changing to a WPI, which is whey protein isolate, or a vegan protein, as whey protein does have lactose in it. Then creatine monohydrate. I'm sure we've all heard of creatine, right? Essentially, all creatine does is it helps you to stock up your energy levels so that you can push out those last couple of reps in your training session. Few myths. No, it doesn't make you bald. I just caught the short straw. Okay, it's not from creatine. And it definitely doesn't, anecdotally, I can say that it doesn't help make you retain water. Maybe in some specific circumstances, but across the board, it's got no real negative side effects and only positive ones, okay? So only 5 to 7 grams per day. Then if you're a morning trainer, so anything before 11 a.m., by all means, have some caffeine. You're more than welcome to have caffeine. Caffeine's not the enemy, you just gotta make sure you don't abuse it. So anywhere, I would say no more than 200 to 250 milligrams in a scoop. If you're going more than that, then that's a bit crazy unless you're a really large male. There is a specific amount, like a measurement you can use off your body weight, which again, I'm more than happy to talk to you guys about if you have more questions. Or if you're an afternoon trainer, which this is the one thing that I think people kind of forget, pre-workout guys doesn't have to have caffeine in it. Okay, you can get non-stim pre-workouts and they'll have things like citrulline, things like, beta-alanine, the tingly stuff, that can help you with performance and also help you with getting a good pump without elevating your heart rate. So if you're an afternoon trainer, by all means, utilize the pump, or if you're someone who just doesn't like to have caffeine, I would highly recommend utilizing a pump powder because it can help you with your training, and some of them do have some nootropics in there which can help you switch your brain on without elevating the heart rate. Just very quickly on the subs, guys, World Gym have sponsored us and allowed us to use the room. So anyone wants to purchase any subs or ask any questions, of course, but you guys all get 15% off at our pro shop at World Gym Penrith today for coming to the Nutrition Workshop. All right, so we've been through the education of what calories are, what macros are. We've been through how to not make your food boring, okay, and how to actually spice up, how to actually build a meal plan. And then we've been through how to optimize your food so that you got enough fuel to make sure you have a really good training session and not walk around and just tick the boxes, okay? So when we're putting together our meal plan, there are a few things to consider. First one, we want to make sure that portion sizes are logical. So when we're planning this out, obviously having 80 grams of rice isn't a lot. So potentially you might need to change the food source up. Think about, is this actually logical for me to have 100 grams of spinach, which it's probably not. If anyone's ever done that, that's a hell of a lot. Number 2, pick foods you guys like. Like if you guys don't like the food, don't eat it. You don't have to eat rice if you don't like rice. You don't have to eat chicken if you don't like chicken. You can pick foods that you guys like, and you're better off picking foods that actually suit well with you from a digestibility standpoint, which is the third point there. Opt for foods that you can digest really easily or is comfy on the tummy. The other thing to consider is feeding frequency. How many times in a day can you eat? All right, can you eat 6 times if you got no job like personal trainer? No, I'm kidding. But can you actually eat 6 times a day? Or are you stuck to maybe 3, maybe 4 because of your job, okay? Think about how many times can you eat in a day and then obviously peel that back to digestibility and things of that nature. Do you have access to equipment? Are you out on site where there's no microwave, or are you driving around a lot? Do you have to have something that's handheld, ready to go? Or can you sit in your nice comfy office with a microwave and chill out? Next one is the budget. You guys don't have to have fresh Atlantic Ocean salmon every day just because it's got healthy fats. All right, pick the things that suit your budget and that are going to be quick and easy for you to buy and that you can get easily at the shops. Other things is your training schedule. So what time of the day are you going to train? Obviously adjust that, we've been through that for adjusting your food for when you're going to train. Factor in some of the lifestyle factors, whether you're cooking for yourself or whether you go to cook for kids. Okay, if you got to cook for your kids, obviously they don't want to be eating just mince and potato every night, but maybe you batch cook some mince. Maybe one night they have tacos, maybe the other night they have spaghetti, the other night they have, I don't know, something else. I'll figure it out when I'm a dad, but you know what I mean though, you can still have your potatoes and your mince while you batch cook for the kids and they can have different things throughout the week or something of that nature. Time of prep as well. No one wants to be spending 3 hours prepping, or I'm sure that I certainly don't. I cannot stand it. It is the bane of my existence. I'm lazy as all hell. So make sure you pick things that either don't require prep or just take the tiniest amount of prep so it doesn't take up your whole Sunday or your whole life. Incorporate a wide range of food variety, a range of foods to ensure diversity in flavors, textures, and nutrients. And also make sure you got some micronutrients in there. Your food should be nice, colorful, look really good. So when you take fantastic photos like Shai did for our recipe ebook, they look really inviting and you want to eat it. Few things to be careful of. So this is a really easy way of how calories can creep up on you guys. And especially for, I know there's a lot of females in the room. If you're a smaller female, you guys don't have a larger allotment of calories, right? So little things like I'm going to mention here can really put you over your maintenance calories, and then you're sat wondering, why am I starving and still not losing weight, or why aren't things changing, okay? So the easiest thing, guys, is refrain from cooking with butters, oils. Use the lower cal options, okay? The canola oil is not going to kill you for just a little bit of spray. You're better off using that than overdoing the olive oil. Switch full sugar to zero sugar. Relax, the aspartame won't kill you, okay? So if anyone's ever heard of aspartame, it's not going to kill you. You're okay to have Coke Zero once a day, even some no sugar cordial. It's going to be much better for you guys rather than just, trying to survive on water and then not steering all the way away from, things that you enjoy in some taste and flavor. Make sure to track your sources as well. If anyone's ever actually weighed out what 20 grams of aioli looks like, it's not a lot. I promise you it's not a lot. You can easily, do 40, 60 grams without even thinking, okay? So make sure if you are gonna have those calorie dense sources or just any sources at all, you're weighing it, you track it, you're on top of it. We're not just, eyeballing it, go, yeah, that's 20 grams. If you're eating out, or you're ordering out, always allow for extra calories, okay? Anyone who's ever seen food being made, there's oil in everything, there's butter in everything. The barista who's making your cap isn't weighing out how much milk you have in there, just smashing it in because there's 30 other orders. So always try and overestimate rather than underestimate when you're out if you are tracking. And last one there, which is a good little trick for everyone to use. If you're using spreads, things like peanut butter, jam, anything like that, Nutella, make sure you weigh the jar. So put the jar directly on the scales, spoon it out, and then you'll see exactly how much is on the spoon rather than doing it the other way. A little bit more accurate there. So those are just a few really easy ways of how if you're, using olive oil when you're cooking, you might be having full sugar cordial, you're not tracking sources, you're getting a coffee every day, and you're kind of going, yeah, that's 20 grams of peanut butter, then calories can blow out a hell of a lot. All right, that's enough of me talking, guys. It is absolutely go time. What's gonna happen now, we're gonna split into groups, okay? So I want you guys to actually have a look at these groups. And you're gonna split into 3 groups of where you think you align. And if you're not sure, by all means, ask one of the coaches. So group 1 is people who are unsure of how to track calories or macros, okay? So if you've never really tracked, it's not really quite foreign to you, head on over to group 1. Shai's gonna take group 1. Group 2 is people who kind of know how to track. You have an idea, but you're still not 100% confident with it. You know what calories are, you kind of heard of macros. But again, it's not the most confident. Mr. Lachlan's gonna take group 2. And then group 3 is people who track macros and calories on the daily. So you guys are pretty comfortable with it, use MyFitnessPal, and you guys feel like you know what you're doing. Now what we're gonna do here, guys, we're gonna actually split you off obviously into the groups, so have a think about where you align. And the coaches are gonna help you to build your own meal plan to optimize for your training and also potentially talk about some supplements as well. So you actually get to walk away with a tangible meal plan rather than just listening to me blabber for an hour, okay? very specific and niche with each individual. So for anyone that's not a one-on-one client, you guys actually do get a free one-on-one consult with one of us coaches, to where we can properly sit down, work out your macronutrients, and then potentially build out a meal plan. Also might even drop in a little bit about training in there as well and go through that. So you get a free consult there. But that's a free resources. Obviously everyone's gone there, which is fantastic. Does anyone have any questions? Anyone? Shannon, you've got questions all the time, mate. You have a question? Yeah, you're the question king, mate.
Of course, he's quiet now.
What'd you ask me the other day? You sent me a message the other day regarding cooking food.
Oh.
Remember you asked about the calories when cooking food?
Oh, yeah. When we were food in the microwave, does that reduce our calorie intake?
Great question, and a very Shannon question. Potentially, but not. It won't make a big difference. I wouldn't overthink it. So yeah, if you're reheating food, it will probably lower the calorie intake, but it will be minuscule. And I wouldn't worry about it. The other thing with reheating food, guys, is obviously, unless it's a potato or rice, which, after a couple of days can actually, ferment and actually cause some GI distress. Most foods like your chicken or, your beef or anything like that is going to last 3 to 4 days. Do you guys have anything you want to add in regards to meal prep or
No, that's kind
foods?
of what I suggest is when meal prepping, prep at least 3 to 4 days worth. I know some people like to cook it like fresh every time. That's not obviously feasible for everybody. So cooking up your meals, 4 meals in advance, and you just heat it as you go. And then obviously sauces and spices and things like that are going to be your best friend. So yes, maybe by day 3 or 4, they're going to start to taste a little bit dry or bland or something like that. Just adding in some like low-cal sauce or some seasoning or something like that. It's going to revolutionize or rejuvenate the meal per se.
Yeah.
My group asked a lot of questions
I
before.
know. We got very
kind
deep.
of got to a
We got
lot.
subs, we got everything. Rob, did you have any good question that you got asked that you want to bring up?
Jesus,
That you might want to share with the group?
now I'm trying to think. Put me on the spot. No, I would say probably one I think everyone's kind of most common with would be like, what would be the easiest to navigate the weekends in terms of social events and stuff like that, like pre-social events, like how does my day look if I know I've got Jimmy's 50th birthday party where we're going to have 47 beers and 37 gin and tonics or 20 things. Sorry, yeah.
Sounds like a good bloke.
I know if anyone else doesn't know this, there's now a protein vodka. They did not know that. Didn't know that.
Something new every day.
So yeah, a bit of protein in there and less than 100 calories. So that might be a
what
job.
Did you say if we're going to Jimmy's 50, how do you navigate beforehand? How did you what did you say?
My biggest suggestion would be just to make sure we have plenty of fluids and protein at the start of the day and stuff like that. So don't be like, I'm going to starve myself because I know I'm going to have 3,000 calories of alcohol later. So because it's just going to ruin you for the next day. You're going to feel like crap, and then you're going to want to go to Macca's after that. So I think just worry about your morning, worry about your breakfast, have something that's going to fill you up, plenty of protein in there as well, plenty of water, and you should be good to go.
I would agree with that. The other thing I would say is if, you're going out to something like an all-you-can-eat or you don't want to overeat, having something like a high fibrous meal beforehand with some protein. So potentially getting something, have some fruit, have some vegetables or something, potentially even some fruit. Grapes are really good. They actually fill the stomach with fiber. And you won't have that overarching sensation of just, I'm starving, get me in there. So don't restrict your calories. Even if you know you're going to eat more, you're better off just eating as per normal as you normally would, because you're inevitably going to probably intake less than what you would if you just left it and were ravenous by the time you got there.
I think another thing is if you are going out for a meal, socializing, just enjoy it, take the stress out of it. It's obviously the repeated behaviors or the repeated things that we do after that's going to make the difference. That one meal in isolation or, the memory making that you're doing is not going to completely stuff you up. Just get back to doing what you were doing the day prior. There's no undereating the next day. There's no overtraining. It doesn't work. Just leaves you feeling like shit. Just get back to having your breakfast, go for your walk, go and train if you are feeling like training, and then get back to eating how you normally would, and just change your mindset around that.
Yeah. All right. Well, because you guys don't have any questions, we've got some frequently asked ones. which I did kind of cover.
This one, too bad. No, I'm kidding.
Go on, Shai. You pointed out.
No.
So I don't like eating before I train, but I know I need energy. What do I do? What do I eat? We kind of went through.
We kind of covered it already. Like what Rhys said, having something small before you train. I'm quite a big fan of. Obviously, I like my LCM bars or rice cakes and honey. Something high in sugar, higher in carb. But like you said, if you're training really early in the morning, then obviously you've eaten the night prior. It's not detrimental if you don't have something. But yeah, that's the first question I ask most of my clients. Have you eaten today? And what have you eaten? So, cause it could affect how you train.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of people as well, they like haven't done it for so long. Like I knew when I was in school, I could go to 3:00 and not eat. But like you go through the period of not eating before you train, and that transition sometimes can be a bit of a kind of like a shock to the body sort of thing. Like your body's like, oh, I don't like it. But it might be just a bit of a sticking out period as well. Just because it doesn't work straight away doesn't mean it's not going to work. All right. In the long run, it's going to be more beneficial anyway. So don't just quit it just because you feel cut one day.
Give your body time. Give yourself time to basically restore your hunger fullness cues. If you've gone so long doing something and it's not working, then obviously you need to make a change. Then making the change is a little bit scary. You get uncomfortable. Don't revert back to your old behaviors. Stick it out for at least 2 weeks and then build on those habits and behaviors.
The other thing as well, guys, is if potentially you were training by yourself or doing your own training now, you're rocking in with Mr. Lachlan and he's got you on the pendulum, he's slamming you for Bulgarian split squats and now you're going all black and white, fainting all over the place, then you're probably going to need some more fuel. So potentially if your activity throughout the day changes, you're going to need more fuel, or if your training intensity goes up because now you're actually training rather than just exercising, you're going to need that extra energy. But good point about hunger. Lachlan, do I have to eat if I'm not hungry? Very general question, so take it however you want.
I mean, no, you don't. Depends on what your goal is. If you're trying to, I know big fella here's trying to put on a bit of size. If you're not hungry, mate, too bad. Shove it in there. Like, all right. So, if you're trying to put on a bit of weight, put on a bit of muscle, stuff like that, especially when you're eating, 3,000 plus calories throughout the day, unfortunately, if you go and have 2,200 that day, that's a big difference sort of thing. So, opposite, if you're trying to lose weight, I guess it always depends on how close you are to your total calories. Just because you're on 1,400 calories, you don't feel like eating, doesn't mean you can go only have 1,000 calories. Okay. So it works both ways. Okay. You don't want it to be detrimental, to your body just because you don't feel like it one day. Means you might be absolutely stuffed and then you're going to overeat the next day sort of thing.
It's consistency over time, for sure.
Yeah.
It's consistency over time, that's for sure.
Great point. The other thing I will add to that, which come up in my group, is pretty much hunger is so futile. Like the actual feeling and sensation of hunger is so futile that it's so arbitrary that it almost, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but it kind of doesn't matter. Especially if you like what Lachlan said, if you're trying to, we need to get calories in, you need to get the calories in. If you're a desk jockey, you're not going to get a hell of a lot of hunger signals, so you're not moving throughout the day, but you still need to eat so that you know that you can go and perform in your training in the afternoon. Similarly, if you're, you might get to the point of, I know for myself when I was in prep, I didn't necessarily have hunger cues. I just would get tired. So if I was purely waiting for the hunger cue, I wouldn't actually get it, but I knew I had to eat because it's like, right, if I don't eat, I'm going to pass out. Just from that sort of thing. So hunger is very arbitrary and futile in that sense. Shai, I've got to go out to breakfast. I'm going out with the girlies. We're having brekkie at Percy Plunkett. What do I do?
This is my forte. I love Percy.
Yeah, Percy's the worst, but it's the worst menu. But what do I do if I have to eat out?
I think I kind of said it before, so that you can go one or two ways with it. You can try your hand at tracking while you're eating out. The thing is, though, I would probably pick your poison. Like I said, there's always going to be a source of protein on the menu. Choose that, whether it's a steak, chicken, maybe some fish or something like that. Make sure you do have a serving of veggies, whether it's cooked or raw, so a side salad or some sort of vegetables. And then obviously the chefs in that are already cooking with quite a bit of oil or butter or fats and things like that as well. So you kind of want to keep it super simple if you are to be tracking. If you're not, again, enjoy the meal, move on. Something I like to do when we were just talking about, like I when I'm eating a meal out, I normally do choose a breakfast meal because it's more laid back. I can go and have a coffee. I just normally pick 2 eggs on toast with some avocado, no butter. Super simple for me to be able to track or to eyeball.
And a long black.
And a long black, yes. Ice long black or for that, yes. But yeah, so it's super simple to be able to just look at the plate, eyeball it, and know exactly what's in it. I know some of these fancy meals you look at and you're like, I have no fucking clue. And if that's the case, then eat it, move on. Otherwise, maybe, depending on what your goals are as well, maybe that's not the best option at that moment. Sometimes we do need to pick the time that we choose to eat out or choose those meals, learn to say no sometimes. You can have it at another stage of your journey.
Locke, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I agree.
Cool. Awesome.
I agree.
Lachlan, I need to eat 200 grams of protein a day. I'm struggling. Can't fit any more in. I'm exhausted the chicken breast and eggs. There's no more eggs left at Woolworths. How do I eat more protein throughout my day? What's the easiest way?
So obviously it depends on what else you're having throughout the day. The easiest one to get in really quick and easy is obviously protein powder and stuff like that. But chicken and eggs aren't the only protein source out there. So there's 1,000 different meats you can have. All right. You obviously got your mince, your steak, all that other stuff, to have as well. So don't think if I eat chicken and rice the whole time, I'm healthy and I'm going to be jacked as hell. Okay. So there's plenty of different ways, to get it in. You just got to kind of have a bit more of a think than just chicken. All right. Like I said, plenty of different meats out there, that have protein in them as well. All right.
You can have it in your snacks as well. So you can pick your high protein yogurts. Again, we spoke about having beef jerky, adding some high protein cottage cheese on the side of your meals. So there's plenty of ways to get it in and space it out throughout the day. So having it in your main meals, having it in some of your snacks, having a shake as a nice, quick, easy alternative as well.
Having it in your alcohol as well. That'll do it.
We'll cut that out of the edit there.
Hey, it's a good time.
Same thing come up in my group.
That's it.
Yeah. But same thing come up in my group around, and it goes for any macronutrient. If you're trying to go up or down in any macro, it's pretty much go up a little bit, a lot in terms of frequency. So rather than trying to eat an extra 100 grams of chicken in the one meal, if you added 10 grams onto chicken, 10 grams onto your beef with dinner, an extra 20 grams of yogurt, you're probably ticking that goal. So try and go up or down a lot throughout the day in terms of frequency rather than try and just smash more protein in the one meal or, more carb or fat, whatever macro it may be. But guys, that'll end us there. If you guys have any other questions, please do not hesitate to reach out. I hope anyone who's not a One client has actually scanned this QR code and downloaded the free resources, the nutrition ebook. There's a lot of good stuff in the summer SEM guide as well in terms of eating out and how to deal with that. Also how to deal with some of the social implications if you don't necessarily want to eat out as well. For anyone who's, as I said, who's not a One client, you also do get a free consult where we can actually sit down and get a little bit more specific with you guys in terms of your goals and work out your macros. But thank you very much for coming to the 1RM 2025 Nutrition Workshop. Hopefully you guys found your food freedom and you know how to eat to fuel your training. Thanks for coming, guys. Appreciate it.
No.
Woo!